Ruto has been lying from day one, and he has no shame. So the question is, honestly, for how long are we going to keep quiet?
Moses Kuria is the only human being alive who can determine the cost of fuel that has not been drilled yet. Because how does he know the cost of fuel in 6 months is going to be 260?
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
Mark Bichachi, it's been a while since we saw him. He's in the house, political analyst, and also the man who goes by the name of Soko Analyst in the socials, Steve Biko Wafula. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
I hate to be the one to say this, but you did say this a long time ago. You said, I told you so.
Yep, I did. I told Kenyans so for 5 years, and then they told me I'm mchawi, mimi mtu wa maombi. So
we saw this coming, Steve, didn't we? We saw this coming. And yet, eyes wide open, and we keep taking it.
How we were convinced that the president wasn't part of the other government as number 2 for 10 years. And we believed it, that he didn't belong to the other government as number 2, and we believed him and we voted for him, is where I'm still stuck. Because we know this guy, we've known this guy for the last 20 years. If you want to know someone, look at his past. Alopa doesn't change its spots. So Mark told us, I've said it before, and unfortunately it's going to get worse, and I don't see any of the lieutenants, meaning the PSs and the CSs and the coalition, have any solution to what we are facing. It's very unfortunate because Kenya is a prime country that has opportunities and solutions to whatever we are facing. And the issue of fuel is actually very unique to Kenya. It's not about Russia, it's not about Ukraine, it's not about what's happening on the dollar. It's actually very unique to Kenya.
How is that?
Well, the first mistake we did was to vote for these guys in 2013. So for the last 10 years, we've run down our economy completely. If you look at the macro numbers, things are very bad. How many jobs are being created? Right now, we have at least 3 million people permanently or better employed, catering for the rest of us. The other 7 million are in the informal sector, and right now, the way things are, they're not doing so well. So if you look at how we are creating jobs, if you look at our key sectors of the economy, manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, hospitality, security, logistics, things are not working out.
And yet, Mark, we keep being told, give us time.
The oil prices, international oil prices, are today at 84.72, okay? Down from 97.97 1 year ago. Okay, that's point number one. That the prices today should be cheaper at the pump than they were a year ago. Number two is the fact that Moses Kuria is the only human being alive who can determine the cost of fuel that has not been drilled yet. Because how does he know the cost of fuel in 6 months is going to be 260? How does he know? If we knew that, all of us would be hedging. And I'm sure Soko Analyst knows about hedging. Because if you know the price of a commodity is going to increase, then you buy now to sell later. It's basic math. So is the CS in charge of trade trying to create a hedging market in Kenya? I have one conclusion, Jeff. It's very simple. Either they are incompetent, and there's great proof they are, or they're only competent in Ruiru. Or this is a government that is doing the classic thing, that you cannot steal, think, and work at the same time. Those three activities are not comparable. The reason why no thief has a job is because the process of stealing is eternal. You have to plan to steal, you have to steal, and you've got to hide forever. Then you're telling me to steal and then be in charge of a ministry. It is impossible. Because then if you ask me as a CS in charge of housing, what capitalization means, I look to Moses Kuria. Does Moses Kuria know what capitalization is? No. So you're talking to two CSs who do not even understand a basic word like capitalization, and you're trusting them with your economy. My friend, you're mad. You can wait all you want, but William Ruto will run this country the way Weston Hotel is run, or Amaco.
Yes, you're angry at Baba Shali.
No, I'm not angry. I'm just saying as it is. No, listen, I have said, listen, he ran Amaco, right? Mm-hmm. He ran Weston Hotel. Okay? How those two institutions are run is how he will run everything else. That's all I'm saying.
You know, the other day he was in the States for Silicon Valley and introduced Aidan Mohammed as his advisor.
CS for trade.
Yes.
Yes, CS for trade and economic advisor.
Yes.
The landing cost for fuel is 110 shillings, but we're buying it at the pump at 212 shillings. So taxes account for more than 50%.
True.
And this is something they can actually fix. They can actually say, this is not going to work for now. To elevate the cost of living, we are reducing ABCD. I've had someone say on TV that the inflation has gone down to 6.5. 6.5 because of subsidization of fertilizers. Whatever they've done in fertilizer, that fertilizer is coming from Russia as a free gift. So we've gotten free fertilizer from Russia, and now we are selling it. And whatever they've done in terms of trying to make farmers have cheaper inputs has been washed away by expensive fuel. Farmers need diesel to plant. Farmers need a lot of fuel to do a lot of things. So if you introduce someone else to the world as the Minister for Trade, but local we know someone else for trade, you're a liar. A liar can never be held accountable for anything. Ruto has been lying from day one, and he has no shame. So the question is, honestly, for how long are we going to keep quiet?
We must first analyze the problem before we tell Kenyans what to do. First and foremost, we have a populist government. It got into power because of populism, right?
Yes.
Secondly, what this government has done, it has systematically dismantled opposition. Jubilee as a party, as we know it, is gone, okay? It was sold lock, stock, and barrel, okay? ODM, as we know it, has nearly half of its MPs lining up to smooch nether regions of State House, correct? So what is happening today is we have a de facto, a de jure, one-party state. That's number one. Number two, we happen to be in a Pentecostal church where every person is supposed to sing praise and worship, not to the Lord Almighty, but to the President Almighty. Okay? So there is no opposition, no one who wants to critique this government. In fact, the people who are doing so right now, as we are, I am sure there is not going to be a single contract thrown my way, because clearly my intelligence is not useful to this particular government. Third, there seems to be an extreme aversion to clever people in the cabinet. This is the problem. Other than just greed, intelligence is highly disgusting to this regime. Those are the problems. So if you top it off with blatant thievery and blatant disregard for the desires of Kenyans, then you figure out why we are in the trouble we're in. And let me explain the trouble. Did we have an inflationary market before the budget 2023-2024? Yes, we did. Did the budget increase inflation? Yes, it did. Did the budget reduce incomes in real numbers? Yes, it did. Because people are paying more taxes for everything. Is there a desire to tax people even more? Yes, there is. Is that taxation supposed to reduce our international debt? No, because this government has borrowed 1.52 trillion in the last 1 year of them being in office. So these extra taxes is not to deal with debt. It is neither going to build some grand renaissance dam as Ethiopia has done, because we have got no major projects. So you've got more money coming out of debt, more money coming out of taxes, and less money coming into your pockets. What does that equal? More money for someone to stuff into their pockets. That's it.
It's for Parliament and Senate to audit our debt, so that we know between 2013 and now how much money have we borrowed locally and externally, and at the same period how much money have we both paid in terms of principal amount and interest. Once we know that, then we can be able to have the exact figure of how much money we owe our creditors. Then once we know that, then we look at how much money are we collecting from KRAs, per month targets. Then once we do that, then we can now say, is this money enough for development, for recurrent expenditure, and for any other emergency need? Because as Marcus put it, the current money that's actually being collected is being collected to be eaten. Because for the last 1 year, there's no project that this government has started. All the projects have been launching were done by the previous administration. So they're basically relooking at relaunching new projects, and old projects. And when we asked the deputy president, why are you people relaunching projects that Uhuru did? And he said, we will keep doing this because we want people to know that these projects are working. So the government has no new projects. So where is the money they are collecting going to? That is the biggest question. And it's very unfortunate that the people who are supposed to ask the questions, members of parliament, like for example Langata, they're lining up with the president to be given some money. As a member of parliament, your responsibility is to represent your people, not the president. And the law and the constitution guarantees development to every Kenyan, whether he supports this government or not. But it's unfortunate that these guys are being bought. And it's also, let's call a spade a spade. Kenyans deserve the leaders we get. All these guys are wash people. All these people have criminal cases. The CS for Agriculture has 35 criminal cases against him. Insurance, this, insurance, that. Every single day you see him in court with his ex-wife. Do they have time to serve us, or they're always running to court? You have 2 chase cars and 10 other friends following you to court every day to address your matters, and you're a CS.
But let me ask you, much as you say by constitution, some of these things are guaranteed. But you see that some of these people who are dancing with the president are actually getting work done. People can attack Langata, but roads are being done.
You still believe that an MP is supposed to push for what is already in the budget to be done. Nick, let me finish, Nick. Budgets in this country are a matter of law. They are not a matter of the decision and whims of a president. Please, let's disabuse that. If we are still running a country where the president can decide this project is not being done, despite the fact that it is in a budget, then that president is acting foul of the law. The fact is that, in fact, what this country needs is it needs a president who will do things that are on the budget, regardless of what an MP does, because that is falsehood. Because what is going to happen if people continue to have your thoughts is that then criticism of the government is going to be taken as an act of sabotage against the development of the people. That should not be the case. It is like saying because William Ruto, when he was opposing Uhuru Kenyatta, there should not have been any projects done in Eldoret because he's opposing Uhuru Kenyatta. That is the kind of thing that we fought for many years to change the constitution so the president does not have such powers. Returning such powers to the president is wrong.
Let me ask you, where's your village? Where do you come from? What's the area
where I was born or where my parents came from?
Where you go to visit people on Christmas?
Chwere. Yes.
What is being done there that you feel without some influence it won't be implemented?
Nothing.
There's nothing being done.
Because the roads that are being done because the county government is obligated to do so, and the national government is obligated to do so.
Are people being empowered? Because you can have roads, but if there's no empowerment...
What do you mean people are being empowered? It is not the duty of government to empower people. Yes. It is the duty of government to create the right environment for the private sector.
But isn't that what that means? Are they being empowered? Creating that environment is empowering.
You see what's happening in Canada or Eleshwa is money that has already been decided by the national budget, and every MC and every MP is going to get a cut. Now it's upon the initiative of that MP to see what needs to be done. He comes from Chola, comes from Webuye. When you go to Webuye, roads are being done by the county government, and roads are being done by the national government. Because a budget has already been earmarked and sent out. These things they were being told that I'm going to the president for development is neither here nor there. Our watu wanaenda kupewa pesa so that when they go to parliament, they will not support their own party but support the government. And that is the problem. You see, I don't want to say on air what I'm really thinking about what we need to do to these people, but I think we should just capture one person.
You here for a reason.
Soko Analyst, feel free.
And you say, Soko Analyst, the lawsuit comes directly to you.
We should actually hold these people accountable. Let me tell you, Kenyans cannot connect that. We are out of 100 shillings, 67 shillings are going to taxes. You get? So the remaining amount of money is supposed to ensure that Kenyatta Hospital is working, Nairobi Primary is working, so that all of us here, our children, can go to public schools and public hospitals. But you're paying all these taxes, but still you're going to Aga Khan. You're still taking your child to a private school. Why? Because the money we are collecting is being eaten. No one is being accountable. When the duo went to Alliance High School and gave 100 million shillings, that's my former school, we didn't ask for the 100 million shillings. Who's very generous? Araenda atoe pesa kwa mfuko yake kupe 100 million shillings, a school he never attended to.
Which school was given 100 million?
Alliance High School.
By who?
By the president and his deputy. Why are they getting money from
100 million or 10 million?
100 million? Why are they getting the money to give a private school that amount of money? I mean, as he puts it, we as Kenyans need, for the first time, we need to hold these people accountable. People need to know that the fact that I went to this hospital and I didn't get an MRI or a CT scan is because my MP and my MCA and my governor stole the money. When we look at what's happening in Western, for example, the issue of sugar, we're not being told the truth. When you look at the investors in Western Kenya, I don't want to mention their names, I'll just use the word investor. I was contracted to Mumias and Nzoia as a farmer. And when these guys come and cut your sugar cane, they will take forever to pay you, 2-3 years. West Kenya and Butali Sugar will come, cut your cane, and tomorrow, as they measure you're being paid.
Yeah, true.
So the issue about sugar cane is about the land that this public factories own. Nzoia has 20,000 acres of land, 2 clears, prime property that someone is eyeing. Same to Mumias. If, for example, I pay you 100 shillings, government takes 50%. You pay 30% to rent. We're back in at 20,000. Are you going to take your child to private school, public school, private hospital?
Can't afford it.
I mean,
But
Can't afford it. But Mark, we were told more than once, Mambo ni
Matatu. You see, here's a problem, and this is where I draw the line. Kenyans are being lulled and boiled as a frog slowly into our own demise. So number one, there's this idea that the doyen is infallible. Okay, so that's problem number one. So there are people who say that criticizing the government is not allowing them to work. My question is, how does Soko Analyst, or Jeff Koinange for that matter, speaking, stop the government from working? How many words do they consume per minute for them to work? How many praise songs do they need to be sung to so that they can work? That is not true. So secondly, this government, what it is doing slowly in shutting down opposition, is that it's creating what Moi created, the one-track mind. And what was the problem with the one-track mind? Even when Moi led this economy for the first time to register negative 2% growth, and the CS, the Minister for Finance then was one Mudavadi, you need to understand that when he was doing that, what was JJ Kamotho doing? What was Mulu Mutisia doing? What were all those people doing? They were hired for the sole purpose of saying Kanu ni Baba na Mama. What we need to urgently deal with is stop this Baba na Mama song. Secondly, what this government needs to do urgently is they keep saying, give us time. But give us time to do what? Which country in the entire existence of humanity has ever succeeded because they taxed more? I'll give you a year to answer me. The answer is none. The countries only grow when opportunities are created. They need to stop answering the question that they are fighting Uhuru Kenyatta's regime, that they are fighting the mistakes they made. It's been 1 year. Tell us what exactly are the opportunities that Kenyans are having and what is going to be the impact. The hurriedly implemented Hustler Fund. How has this country changed? Whose life, other than that nice chicken stew my cousins in the village cooked with that 500 shillings, what changed? Nothing has changed. So the truth is, and I'm calling this out, and I'll repeat this till I die if necessary. This government needs to come and tell us this bottom-up transformational agenda you're talking about, what does it really mean? Does it mean fuel at 500 shillings? Then I joined the border guy who said, do it now. Because if Moses Kuria can be the only analyst on the face of the earth who can determine the price of fuel 6 months ahead, then surely he can predict how this economy will be. But what this government seems to be good at is imagining bills. You remember Murkomen went and visited the expressway, and in one day decided the damage was 600 million shillings. Do you know how long it takes to account for 600 million shillings? And he could do it with his eyes. And if he can do it with his eyes, how simple should it be for them to reduce the cost of sugar? The truth is they are not interested in this country. We need to call them out, and we need to tell them, fine, we have no choice, right? 4 years we have to wait. In those 4 years, what is our expectation? And don't tell us you've stabilized the economy when the dollar is at 146. How have you stabilized the economy? Jeff, I was in ICU earlier this month. I stayed there for 3 days. My bill was nearly 300,000 shillings. My friend, how? If I was poor, I would be dead.
You'd be dead.
I'd be dead. Surely. So you're talking about universal health care. It is important. It is critical. But how is it going to work with the prices of everything going through the roof?
And yet, when we should have an opposition, Soko analyst, it looks like even the bipartisan talks are dead in the water.
It's very unfortunate that the president, on one hand, says he wants a strong opposition, but then on the other hand, actually calls them and buys them out. And if you cannot be bought out, they will look at your criminal record. They know you're wash. They know you're a gold scammer. Now they know you can't make any decision against them. For me, one, Kenyans deserve what you're getting. Two, the problem with the opposition and the fact that the bipartisan talks have actually hit a snag is because people cannot agree on the way forward. And it's unfortunate that apparently some people were bought when they're in Mombasa. They were given some money. And some are saying it's not true, some are saying it's true. So we've hit a snag. I believe our constitution is up for change, up for a few amendments. We need the leader of opposition, and we need a dark cabinet, shadow cabinet, to actually be able to follow what these guys are doing, because it's very unfortunate for some of us to keep critiquing the government from outside. When decisions are made inside, we cannot really account for them. So one, let us continue suffering. We are like the frog. You put it in hot water, it will keep adjusting its temperature. The more the temperature of the water keeps going up, until it gets to a point whereby it cannot increase its temperature anymore to match that of the water, and it dies. We are feeling the same way. The cost of living is so high, and the impact of this fuel will actually be felt this week. Electricity has gone up by 37%.
68%. 68%.
Actually, yes, because other taxes that were actually factored in have actually hit. So as of today, new taxes actually coming on board. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm in manufacturing and media. So at the end of this month, I'm going to look at 15 taxes I'm going to pay.
15.
So tell me, do I stay in Kenya? Do I shut my business? Do I relocate? I've seen a couple of companies online talking about moving to Rwanda and Uganda because they're being given good opportunities. And it's unfortunate that in Africa, the literacy level in Africa, Kenya has the highest at 86% on average, which means we should be able to think and reason for ourselves, but we are not. We have this hard mentality whereby Baba amesema, Mama amesema, Baba amesema, Mama amesema, and everyone is suffering now. When someone says, I fasted for 7 days for this government to win, former President Uhuru told us this. As a drunkard, he saw what people who are in church fasting for 7 days could not see. I mean, honestly.
Let's break it down. First, let's deal with some false propaganda that Kenyans have believed. Number one is that our debts were an emergency. Truth is, they were not. Okay? If they were an emergency, then this government would also not be borrowing. Okay? The justification that we need to pay more tax to pay debts is not necessarily true. Because how economies are organized today is there's something called kicking the can down the road. It's a reason why every developing country, other than those that have oil, have huge national debts that they keep postponing payments and readjusting the payment to have that paid in the future. So that was never an emergency. We had an issue in 2020 that created worldwide inflation, true. But today, many of the countries have actually tamed inflation. Their prices are stabilizing. The reason why Kenyan prices are not stabilizing is because the government keeps distorting the market. A lot of people have praised this mafuta mtaani. Mama Pima mafuta, right? And it's supposed to reduce the cost of things. The philosophy of Kenya is that it's an open market. It's an open market philosophy. So you cannot have the government interfering in the prices of goods and commodities unless it is an emergency. That interference is one, distorting the market. It is distorting the sugar market. It is distorting the maize market, because we are not just subsidizing things, and subsidy is different, because when you subsidize, you are saying that the person selling is still making his money. It's just that the government is covering up the difference to cushion the people. Secondly, this government decided to increase taxes, making the inflation more. So, the solution is this. This government needs to go back and copy Kibakinomics and Uhurunomics. They need to copy.
But do you think we have the brains to even be able to copy?
Well, Njuguna was fired by Kibaki, Ndi was fired by Kibaki. Me, anyone who Kibaki fires, I doubt their capacity. I'm just saying.
But step number one, we need to audit our debt. Step number two, this government keeps telling us, oh, the last government stole a lot of money, they took it outside this. If you have evidence, bring all that money back here, use that money to pay off the debts. Remove all these taxes you're giving to a lot of entrepreneurs and tell them you have a 3-year bracket to do your business. You're in America convincing people to come work here, but you're chasing the people here, telling them kuna mambo matatu. You either leave the country, go to jail, or go to heaven. And then you want Americans to come and invest here where? People think we are stupid, we cannot see. So, repatriate cash that's been stolen, audit our debt, look at manufacturing, look at agriculture. Be honest, what happened to the fertilizer from Russia? You know, Kenya Seed and KEFIS have no substantive CEO. These are very two critical institutions in this country in terms of our food security. Without a substantive CEO, you cannot be able to approve proper seeds. You cannot be able to approve proper policies in terms of how agriculture is going to be. For the last 10 years, these two institutions. And if you look at the people being put there as acting capacity, what a tuniwezi. I mean, half the time they're not there, half the time they're out of country looking for deals. The other half of the time they're spending the time with their girlfriends.
Let's look at what the deputy president said himself.
Other than the inherited, dilapidated.
Yes, and tigers, by the way. You know we have tigers in this country?
I just found out the other day.
Yes. Rigathi Gachagua decided that we have tigers. So
you can tell that speech was cut copy-paste from someone else.
Yeah. First we have tigers and we have swimming lions in Lamu.
In Lamu.
Yes. They have flippers. So Rigathi Gachagua himself said that the president and him are concerned about the number of foreign trips CSs have. Right? This is not propaganda. It's him who said it. I will tell you, as a former government official myself, trips are lucrative. Okay?
Yes.
If you're senior enough, you are out of this country 5 days, 1 million, 2 million, depends on where you're going.
Cash
in your pocket, besha. Right? So at the end of the day, it is lucrative. Now, the thing is that we need to understand, and this is what I hope Kenyans get when they're hearing the sound of my voice. Anytime a government gets into power, the best favor you can do them is to critique them. Because if they take critique, then they will glean wisdom to do right. When they became insulated and uncaring and unfeeling to the people, then they lose the plot. When your CS tells you, dig your own oil well, chimba kisima chako, what is he saying? That he does not care, neither does he understand what the normal Kenyan is going through. And therefore, he cannot represent you. I am pushing for one. President Ruto, please change your cabinet.
Unfortunately, that won't happen.
No.
That's one. Change your cabinet.
It won't happen.
Number two, change your stance. You were caring to Kenyans before. You said you care about the cost of fuel, the cost of living, and all of those things. Become that person again. Then put policies that actually match what you say you are. And then, finally, please stop trying to run this country via propaganda. It doesn't work. There's a reason why Mark Bichachi is not a president, because I do propaganda every day. Can't lead a country by propaganda. Can't lead a country by launching already launched products. You cannot lead a country on top of a car shouting politics all the time. Please. And then reduce trips. Remain up at the bottom. Chana maju.
Now he's a counter suits.
Boss. That fashion thing.
If we look at the presidency of Kibaki, Kibaki spoke when it was necessary.
Yes.
Kibaki didn't have the opportunity to go standing on rooftops and things like that.
In fact, Kibaki hardly spoke.
He only spoke when it was necessary.
Yeah.
And I think it's not all gloom. On Friday, I confirmed that the project by government to have smartphones manufactured in Kenya is actually ongoing. And 20,000 have actually been produced, and maybe in the next 2-3 weeks they'll be out in the market. So that's a positive. This government has an opportunity to turn around our lives, all of us, including those who didn't support them, for better. The opportunity is there. The people are willing to work very hard. Kenyans are very resilient people. As Mark puts it, stop the lying, stop the propaganda. They should appoint a government spokesperson, someone who can be able to speak on any issues. The president should stop. Every week he's on media, every week he's on Twitter, every week he's where. No, let them work, because they talk too much. They've lost value. The presidency as an institution has lost its value and its integrity as an institution of national harmony, national peace. Now, when the two of them speak, I mean, honestly, you're left wondering, do I believe this? You know, my son tells me, I don't like the president. He lies very much. Do we have swimming lions in Kenya? You know. And, my daughter is asking me, do we have tigers? You know, when we tolerate and condone lies from the top, of course everyone else will start doing it. It's hard for me to tell a border person who's breaking the law to follow the law when the president himself is breaking the law via lying every single day. But I believe there are solutions. These guys are unable to offer solutions. They should quit. Let other people who are competent enough to come. We can reduce the depreciation of the Kenya shilling very easily. We can create jobs very easily. We can be able to reduce inflation and cost of living down very easily. You just need people who are willing, people who are empathetic, people who are caring, people who understand that governance is about serving the people of Kenya and not enriching yourself. Jeff, some of our friends in government, by last year, September, some of them didn't have house rent. Some of them could not even afford to fuel their cars. Right now, they've bought houses worth 200 million cash. They have 2022 model vehicles, top range. They're wearing watches worth $1 million.
What are they
doing?
You want to tell me, as someone who's suddenly become rich, is going to empathize with a Kenyan when he knows, wewe kwa sababu ya ulinipea kura, I can just go and tip money and go to Dubai and buy.
And I'm telling President Ruto, imagine you're my president. I didn't vote for you. I campaigned against you. But you're the only president I have. I have no obligation but to desire that you succeed. If you succeed, then I make it too. If you run this economy well, then my business will thrive. Then my kids will have a better chance at school. So, Mr. President, the people who will report to you that I was criticizing you should also tell you this, that you're probably one of the smartest politicians this country has. So I will ask that you do yourself the next logical favor. Smart people only succeed when they learn to hire smarter people than them to do things for them. There's a statement you said that I think gave us a clear window into your government. When you said that you understand government departments better than the PSS and CSS that run them. That is such a tragedy. Because either you're cleverer than Einstein and therefore you understand everything from forestry to economics to fisheries better than professionals, or you've hired people who are your intellectual inferiors. Do yourself a favor. Hire people that are smarter than you.
It's very difficult to fire Moses Kuria. These are pre-election agreements. So
they are not contractual.
No. The CS for water was an MP, and she quit. You don't tell me you're going to fire her and send her home when you made her campaign, be elected, she quit for someone else. It's good to face reality. Reality is this cabinet is not going anywhere. Reality is we have a president for the next 4 years who's not smart but scheming. He's a brilliant schemer. He can scheme. I'm just hoping that he can be able to scheme for things to work out for us. Because if I wish him wrong, I'll also be wishing the same for me. So if he fails, we fail. But we also need to actually accept that we have a headache, we have cancer, we have a boil somewhere, that we need the right doctors. He might not be able to fire the CSs, but he can actually be able to get the right PSs and the right directors and chairman of parastatals to get things working. But the most important thing that I would like the president to do, the same way he's been in the US meeting the top business and entrepreneurs, let him come back to Kenya and have meetings with local entrepreneurs per county. Let him meet all of us, and we'll give him ideas of how each county can be able to play a part in national building. Create the right environment for businesses to thrive. We create jobs. That is the only way we are going to get ourselves out of this debt issue. And he keeps saying that the former president mismanaged the country. It's fine. Can he order for an audit of the debt? Can we actually know how much money have we paid so far? How much money is waiting, and how we can actually be able to go about it.
But Analyst, the president has traveled extensively in this country in the last 1 year. I mean,
show me out of all this travel one tangible project that has come out of it.
But I hope the government takes the taxes we are paying for housing and actually builds houses. Why? Because in as much as I don't think I'll get a house, I hope that when 200,000 houses are built a year, the costs of rents will go down. I also hope that the mortgage refinance company will reduce the mortgages from 16-20% to 5-4%. That is something I hope for. I hope that as the government is implementing its new NHIF changes, that we will have universal health care. I think that is critical. In fact, I laud them for thinking through these issues. I hope they implement it, because clearly as a diabetic, I cannot afford to be in hospital. It's very expensive to be in hospital. So I need universal health care. The other thing that I hope they actually implement is the transformation of lives. I hope that the plan they have when they're talking about the bottom-up economic model, that they will actually transform the lives of people, even if it's not mine. I am very happy to see my friends and relatives prosper in this country. So we are not sitting here just to bash the government unnecessarily. There are projects that I honestly believe in, and I hope President Ruto, as people report this to you, they will also tell you that we support you 100% to get 200,000 houses so that people don't live in slums. We support you 100% that Kenyans will get universal health care. We support you 100% in firing corrupt PSs. Good stuff. You didn't even wait for the corruption to happen. You smelt it and you fired them. Please fire a few more.
Oh, by the way, the latest revolutionary comes in the form of Eric Omondi. He saw that.
Yes. 1 minute he's showing money on his bed, which implies wash. Next minute he's fighting with Kenyan musicians. Then he becomes a politician. He just...
But I prefer, I will laud him for what he's trying to do. Like now he's in prison for a month, trying to do an agenda. I think each and every Kenyan must take it upon themselves to hold this country accountable the way Omondi is doing it. Forget the other side shows that he's trying to do. He's actually trying to pass a critical message to the young people, that young people need to stand up. You know, when you were in campus, comrades meant something. If comrades say 20 strike leo in Kenya ingeendelea, but the current university students are very sissies, they're crying, they're on TikTok, so whatever.
Have changed. Maybe you call Baba and organize your next...
No. I don't want Baba to do anything. I don't want Baba to call for No, let Baba enjoy. Let him go to Dubai. Let him go to Germany. It's time for us Kenyans to carry our own burdens.
True.
It's time for me and you to say we want this government to work, but we must hold them accountable. If every time I have a problem and I can't find a solution, I come running to Jeff to help me out. Every single time, hata Jeff ataweka na mimi ni block.